I'm going to assume that you have taken step 1 and 2 up to this point, which has given you a better grasp and deeper understanding of Oikos and the Oikos learning lifestyle. So now, about putting it all together. This is how. Slowly. You don't need to order everything in one go. One of the benefits of the Oikos learning lifestyle is that you don't have to purchase all your resources at once. You can pick and choose and make the necessary selections after you've assessed your family's needs carefully. That's covered in step 2. So by this time you have a better idea of what you need, but please do not be tempted to think that you must now go rushing off and get it all. Now let me break it up into bite-sized pieces and into what your budget can manage at the time, and you only know what that is, but we'll come to costs a little later. To start with the essentials, let's call them the Oikos Lifestyle Essentials, would be the following: a parent support book, a Bible study resource, your Konos manual which you've chosen with the relevant timeline, a good read aloud book, whether it be in English or Afrikaans. Those are your essential Oikos lifestyle resources. Now you've got your formal essentials, which would be numeracy and literacy, the language and the maths books that you have assessed are appropriate for your children's different levels. Now let's take a pause here. You could just get language at this point, or just maths, or you could decide to get them both together. Again, this is for you to decide according to your budget. Remember, get the school thinking out of your head. Your children don't have to sit and do a maths and language lesson every single day. It is preferable for you to get settled into the Oikos lifestyle first by following the Oikos lifestyle essentials. Then add the formal thereafter, if you like. It really doesn't matter if you start with a maths book and a month or so after, you then get your language book, or vice versa. Do it in your time. Remember this also. You're not dealing with having to teach a class of 30 plus children. You're doing one-on-one education, which is like private tuition, so you can accomplish a lot more in less time with this kind of learning model. Now you've got the extras: Apologia Science, Excellence in Writing, Excellence in Spelling, and Around the World in 180 Days. Drawing with Children, Vocal Coach, Bookkeeping for over 16-year-olds, and maybe an Oikos t-shirt. Those are just extras. Once you've got through your first year and then the next year comes around, you're going to find you would have become much more familiar with the Oikos site, how to place orders as and when you choose, and also that your assessments won't need to be repeated, because once you have placed your children in the program, it will be a natural progression from there on. Right, and now about costs. If I get into specifics here on this production, chances are that I'll have to do another one in no time at all, with the economic situation being as it has been the last few years. So I won't get into rands and cents here for the sake of keeping the production life longer. I'm sure you already agree that there's huge value when you think of the following things. Your children are getting one-on-one tuition. Many of the resources are non-consumable. They can be used for years because the parent book needs only be purchased once. So when you're placing your next order for the same level for the next child coming up through the program, an example being Orange Lattle, you'll need to only purchase the student book. You won't have to buy a parent book and readers again for that level. And then there's Konos. That's a lifetime purchase, once-off payment for all your social studies subjects for all of your children. You don't need to invest in bookcases of knowledge-based books, because with Konos being activity-based, your children and you will be on a discovery and experiential learning journey, which lasts because it builds practical lifetime memories. Just think back of what you recall with regard to knowledge that you were taught, and now think back to experiences you had which have lasting memories and the lessons that you learned through those experiences. The more senses involved, the more effective the learning process. So Konos 1, 2, and 3 offer precisely that: doing, discovering, and training character while getting the additional bonus of whatever knowledge learning takes place naturally along the way. Also, the things that you need are common day-to-day household items, Some parents have felt they need to get a lot of extra support books if they buy Konos, but this is not so, because with Konos being about doing and training character and it not being about knowledge, you do not need all these additional supportive knowledge books. Besides, with the World Wide Web and so much available at your fingertips, it is not necessary to invest in all the extra books or individual social study subjects, which is what you are perhaps familiar with. We can be assured that the resources are going to be excellent in their value because they are all gold award-winning standard, so you can be confident that you are paying for excellence. Another factor to consider regarding costs is you're not going to have travel, uniforms, and all the hidden costs that were involved in your children being in school. So even when a family decide to splash out and invest in all the Oikos resources, they are still spending considerably less than what they had been doing in school fees and all that goes with that. Yet they're giving their children so much more. Now lastly, and this is very important, when you make a purchase from Oikos, you are contributing to the provision necessary for us to continue in this work of supporting families who would like to have affordable home education resources for their children. Also, we are able to continue to supply support by means of keeping the Oikos publishing house running to enable us to keep in print what otherwise would have been unavailable and to keep the Oikos productions coming for ongoing support. All this is possible through those who place orders on the site and also for those who make donations on the site. We do have a donation button on the site for those who would like to contribute further to this work of Oikos Ministries. I've included this last point because it's very important, for without these finances coming into Oikos, we would not be in a position to make it possible for you to be able to home educate your children at such low cost but with such high value. So all that's left to say now is thank you to all the Oikos families who are part of keeping this ministry moving on and serving families.